Imagine a world where you could jump as high as a house with the same effort it takes to climb a step. Sounds crazy, right? What if I told you that gravity, that invisible force keeping us glued to the ground, was suddenly cut in half? Welcome to today's scenario, where we'll explore what would happen if Earth's gravity were reduced by half. Get ready for a journey full of wild ideas, unexpected consequences, and a touch of fun as we imagine how the world would be completely transformed by such a simple yet powerful change. Let's dive into this adventure together. First, we need to understand what half gravity means. On Earth, gravity is what makes an apple fall from a tree and keeps us walking without floating into space. It's a constant force with an acceleration of about 9.8 meters per second squared. Now imagine that suddenly drops to 4.9. What changes? Well, everything. Our starting point is simple. Gravity decreases while everything else, the atmosphere, oceans, people, initially remains the same. But from this change onward, the world as we know it begins transforming in ways that will surprise you. I'm excited just imagining it. How about you? Let's start with the basics. Daily life. With weaker gravity, every step you take feels lighter. Remember jumping on those giant trampolines? Now imagine that sensation all the time. A casual hop could send you 2 meters high. Kids at playgrounds? They'd be flying between equipment like superheroes. But it's not all fun. Walking would feel strange at first. Our muscles are accustomed to working against normal gravity, so with less resistance, you might stumble or float more than intended. It's like we all became untrained astronauts learning to live in this new lightweight world. What about objects around us? Everything would be easier to lift. That heavy table you struggled to move, now you could carry it one-handed. Cars would be lighter, buildings could use less material. Even bicycles might feel like toys. But there's a downside. With less gravity, fragile items like glasses or plates could fly farther when dropped, creating absolute chaos. Imagine trying to eat soup when the liquid insists on floating off your spoon. I can picture my kitchen turning into an abstract art installation. Now let's consider nature. Trees would be completely different. With less gravity pulling them down, they could grow much taller without needing thick trunks. Forests would resemble fairy tale landscapes with slender trees stretching skyward. But it's not that simple. Plant roots would need to adapt as weaker gravity affects how water and nutrients move through soil. And animals? Birds could glide enormous distances with less effort, though they might need smaller wings to avoid accidentally flying too high. Picture a sparrow zooming past you at highway speeds while you try to jog. Speaking of sports, they'd be revolutionized. Basketball? Forget it. Every shot would be an epic dunk with players jumping to the rafters. Soccer? The ball would fly so far that fields would need to be massive. Water sports? Swimming will be easier as you float more, but ocean waves will become slow and lazy without gravity's strong pull. I can already imagine a surfing championship where no one falls off their board, but no one catches a decent wave either. Maybe we'd invent new sports, like giant leap races where the winner jumps farthest without face planting. If you're enjoying this wild thought experiment, hit like to help me keep imagining these incredible scenarios. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Let's continue this journey. There's so much more to discover. Now let's think bigger. The planet itself. Weaker gravity would affect Earth's atmosphere. With less force holding gases, our atmosphere might gradually thin as lighter molecules like hydrogen escape more easily into space. This wouldn't happen overnight, but over centuries we could have less oxygen to breathe. Scientists would need to invent ways to protect the atmosphere, perhaps with technologies we can't yet imagine. And oceans? With reduced gravity, tides would weaken significantly as the moon's influence diminished. Goodbye giant waves, hello calmer beaches. Though possibly fewer fish, since marine ecosystems depend on tidal currents. How will humanity adapt? Society would transform. Architecture would become unrecognizable. Buildings could be incredibly tall and light, almost like floating castles. Entire cities might be built on suspended platforms since weight would no longer be an issue. Transportation would change too. Planes would need less fuel to take off, and we might invent vehicles that hop instead of roll. Imagine commuting in a car that makes giant leaps across the city. I want one with really good shock absorbers. But it's not all upside. Lower gravity would bring health challenges. Our bones and muscles, which strengthen by resisting gravity, might weaken over time. Astronauts on the ISS already face this. In a half-gravity world, we'd all need intense exercise to avoid turning to jelly. Children born in this world might grow taller and slimmer, but with more fragile bodies. Doctors would need to rethink everything from surgeries to treating simple, sprained ankles, which would become much more common with everyone bouncing around. Now for a twist you might not expect. In this low-gravity world, humanity might discover that the moon, with its even weaker gravity, becomes the new El Dorado. With easier rocket launches and moon landings, lunar colonies would spring up rapidly. But here's the kicker. What if these colonies rebelled against Earth? With low gravity facilitating spacecraft and weapon launches, lunar settlers could build an unbeatable fleet. Suddenly, history's greatest conflict wouldn't be between Earth nations, but between the planet and its own moon. Imagine headlines screaming, "Moon declares independence." Just thinking about the consequences gives me chills. As our journey concludes, how might this half-gravity world ultimately look? Humanity would adapt as always. We've developed technologies to protect the atmosphere, build cities resembling sci-fi dreams, and maybe even make peace with our lunar neighbors. Life would literally be lighter, but full of new challenges. Crazy sports, giant trees, epic jumps, all would become normal. But most fascinating is imagining how human creativity would flourish in a world where reality's basic rules were rewritten. So tell me, how do you think you'd fare in a world where every step is nearly flight? Would you love the freedom of jumping toward clouds, or miss good old gravity, keeping your feet on the ground? Share your thoughts below. I can't wait to hear them. And who knows, maybe next time we'll imagine something even wilder, like double gravity. Until then, keep imagining with me.